Hey, this is the Option Addict. You know, the one that hails from www.optionaddict.net. And as always, I'm here to lay down another often imitated, but never duplicated, weekly watch list. So I'm starting here with the chart of the old S&P 500, and last week, it was pretty nasty. This action that we saw here, towards the right-hand side of the price chart, not good, breaking through support levels. Now, while it is possible we might see a short-term rally back up to these prior lows, right around, let's say, 1320, 1315, obviously this makes headway for a much larger downward trend. As we continue to make lower lows, I think the market's going to get continually tougher to trade in. So last week, support was broken to the downside. If you look at a 5-year chart here, looks like the next logical level of support is going to be down closer to about 1200. Now, I don't think that's going to happen all that quickly. I think the market's going to kind of slowly work its way lower. And then occasionally out of nowhere, we're going to get that big triple-digit spike to the upside to make it even tougher to trade in. So as we go forward, I want to make sure that everybody out there that's listening, if you're following these ideas, make sure you're keeping your time horizons very, very short. You're trading with a reduced position size because, of course, it gets pretty tough to trade in a bear market. Many of you already know that. Rather than dick around with a bunch of nonsensical market analysis, I'm just going to lay it down like this. Economic reports coming out this week, retail sales, one of the big catalysts I'm watching. I'm looking to get bearish on retail stocks here. There's a lot of good setups there. And of course, CPI being the next biggest headline that's going to hit the tape this week. Those are some things you got to watch out for. In the meantime, I'm going to start off with a couple price patterns here just to wander through. I'm going to start with the most boring stock of them all, and that's old Honeywell. The reason why I make that claim is because it's been notoriously trending sideways for the last year. However, if you look at the stock from a longer term perspective, let's say on a 5-year chart, it likes to trend. So I'm thinking that this little pattern that we're watching here as of late, once the stock breaks out of this pattern, it's going to start a trend in a direction for this stock. And I think it's going to get pretty volatile. So this is one you might want to keep an eye on. You can see the target price on this is just about 10 points, which is awesome for a $50 stock. Next is Baidu. I've been bearish on this thing ever since earnings, where I got my teeth kicked in. And if I shorten up my time frame here, you can see we've got a nice little descending triangle here that's been occurring over the last, let's give it about a month, give or take. And if you're looking to trade this, make sure you wait for a break of support, which is right around 230. Once that happens, you should see about a 50-point move to the downside, taking the stock well below 200. Next is going to be SNDA. Shanda Interactive, and I'm watching this stock. You can see it's a nice little flag pattern. Ever since it's broke resistance at about 30, ran up to about 35. Once it breaks this little formation here, I'm looking for about a 5-point move to the upside, which takes the stock pretty close to some of its prior highs. Next, we're going to look at OSIP, OSI Pharmaceuticals, another descending triangle. Happen to like this one quite a lot here. Support at 36, wait for a break below that. Once it does, we're looking at about a 5-point movement, give or take, to the downside. Should be real nice. Next is Nuva. You'll remember this stock has been on my breakdown watch list. You can see it's been trading sideways for a while. It finally did get that breakdown in a real harsh manner, but now it's starting to flag a little bit. Once it breaks this little consolidation point to the downside, I'd look to get short this stock or buy yourself some puts, as I think it's going to get pretty turbulent for the stock. Next is Jeff with a G, G-E-F. As you're looking at this here, you can see it's an ascending triangle. Pretty clear to see. Watch for a breakout of 68. And this one right here should lead to about a 12-point movement in the stock. Very nice. Next is REG, nice little symmetrical triangle. You can see I'm discounting this candle down here at the bottom. That's because I'm usually tracking closing prices. If you switch over to a line chart, you can see that goes away pretty easily. I'm also watching IBM as a flag formation. You can see IBM's been hot here as of late. Nice little consolidation point. When it breaks this to the upside, again, look to get long some calls. It should take this stock about 8-9 points or so to the upside. Now, even though the market's been looking pretty bearish, I happen to find a whole crap load of stocks that I'm looking to buy calls on this week, and I'm just going to throw them out at you via a slide. Here you go. And I also happen to find a few rallies to short or to buy puts on, so take a look at these. A couple other things I'm going to look at are a couple potential breakouts and breakdowns. First one is Herbalife. Sounds funny, I know. Trading at a 52-week high. If you look at this stock here, it's breaking out of prior resistance. You can use this level right here to manage your risk, set a stop. But here's one stock that is performing very, very strongly in a weak tape. So I think you got to watch this here. Also, ANR, Alpha Natural, and I'm kind of watching this. I happened to take profits on this a little while back. You guys know I was bullish on natural resources, some of the coal stocks and whatnot. You can see that these are starting to flatten out here a little bit up at their highs. So if it breaks to the upside, of course you're going to want to get long some calls. But if you're a little more of a risk taker here, if it breaks support, you might even consider a counter trend play to the downside. I think it could move at least 5 points or so. Next is Netflix, and I haven't traded this one in quite a long period of time, but you can see it broke out of resistance here a little while ago. It's consolidating, and it's holding this nice little gap right around $30 per share. I think there's a low risk entry point around here, and based on some of the recent volatility, the stock's been liking a move, so I'll let you deal with that one. A couple other ideas we're going to look at is some possible breakdowns, and for that I'm going to look at Trina Solar. In fact, I'll zoom in here a little bit. You can see we're hitting some support right down here, so a break below 30, you might want to short this stock. Also, CME. And as I said a couple weeks ago, I wasn't necessarily wrong about exchanges, I was just a little bit early. And you can see CME broke that 500 level pretty hard, and exchanges are starting to look pretty weak here. So I like CME. If you're going to trade this though, instead of going out and buying a put option, I'd prefer to sell a call option here, buy an out of the money call, making sure I'm doing a call spread on a stock like this so I'm protecting my potential downside. But the premiums are nice. You should be able to get a pretty good credit out of a trade like this. Next is CNX, and you can see it's trading up near its highs. It's starting to look pretty weak. Watch this one as a potential reversal if it wants to break support. Next is Varian, V-A-R-I, as it trades at its lows. Watch for break of support. I like watching these stocks that trade sideways here. LNG finally broke support, so make sure you're aware of that. It's pretty easy to manage your risk here. And last on that list is BMRN, Biomarin. And this nice little consolidation point is just about to give way. Now, as far as some groups to watch this week, I think you got to get bearish on a couple oil producers and retail stocks. And what I mean by that is take a look at, we'll start with Gymboree, for example, GYMB. You can see this is starting to look pretty toppy, as well as, I don't know, Urban Outfitters, URBN, starting to go from higher highs and higher lows, starting to get a little bit weak here. As far as oil producers, SII, Smith, you can see it's kind of a little head and shoulders formation as it's starting to break short-term support. And even Schlumberger, you can see SLB kind of doing the same thing on a smaller scale. So definitely something to buy puts on here. So in closing, where do we go from here? I think the market continues to get a little bit tougher to trade. Back into, let's say, January-like conditions where trends start to change. The old reliable trends are becoming less reliable. You're going to really have to rely on diversification and being able to pick individual stocks. And of course, that's what this list here is all about. So hopefully these provide some good ideas and some profits for you along the way. So that'll do it for me. Feel free to hold your applause. As always, I appreciate the support and the continued readership. And I wish you well this upcoming week in your individual trading. So thanks again, folks. This is The Option Addict, and that is my watch list. Take care.
It's easy to grin when your ship comes in and you've got the stock market beat. But the man worthwhile is the man who can smile when his shorts are too tight in the seat.